Well, if you guys are big fans of Stardom, you guys are always on the right channel. Now, as you know, this past Friday they begun the annual tournament, the Cinderella Tournament. Now, keep in mind, this is not a round robin tournament. Just like New Japan, this is an elimination based tournament. And I'll explain a little bit about that. Now, we will go from the first 3 days of this tournament that happened. Day 1, Day 2, and 3. But however, Day 1 and Day 2 features, of course, the first round matches. We'll see who will advance during this tournament, but of course, in Day 3, it features second round matches. But one simple question is, as you know, last year, Sayaka Kurara was last year's winner, but the real question is, can she do it again? It's not the first time something like this has happened, but we will see what happened. And then, as always, we'll wrap up our episode, as usual, with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK. In the world of wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information is unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got to do Nike Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us and click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough of the jibber jabbers. Let's get started. So, the entirety of the episode is all about Stardom, and as you all know, we're going to be reviewing the Cinderella Tournament, Day 1 to Day 3. So, let's begin with Day 1. Okay, Stardom, the Cinderella Tournament 2026. Now, I want to give you guys a clarification what this one is. But first, just to make it all clear, this is not, I repeat, this is not a round robin tournament. This is an elimination tournament. If you lose, you're out. But if you won, you keep going forward. But here's a wrinkle here. The only win is by submission or pinfall. But however, in this tournament with the Cinderella, you have three options. Not only the submission or pinfall, well, you could win by over the top. Yes, folks, it's kind of weird. Unlike New Japan, where they have just the pinfall or submission, they added that where, of course, you can throw your opponents over the top rope, which, of course, it's legal, and I have seen it firsthand. Now, some of you may question is, what is the purpose of the Cinderella tournament? Well, the winner, of course, gets to dress up in a nice little princess dress, and they can make a wish. Now, mostly the wish could be anything, but mostly it's always been title shots. Mostly, in the years that I have watched Stardom, it's always been about the white belt. Um, but there have been some rare occasions where the the winner has often challenged for the red belt. And our last year's winner, Sayaka Kurara, of course, challenged for the red belt that was in the possession of Sayaka Kurara, but she did not challenge it immediately. She wanted to wait after, of course, when Tam Nakano, who before, as you all know, was forced to retire, and that was one of the reasons. Now, some of you may question another thing you may ask. Since I mentioned Sayaka Kurara is last year's winner, and if you guys have been following very, very carefully, of course, some of you may question, what if she wins again? It's not a rare occasion. We have seen it. I have seen it twice. One with, of course, with Mirai. She has won two back-to-back tournaments. And Mayu Iwatani, of course, I have not witnessed that, but I have heard that she has won two back-to-back Serena tournaments. It's not uncommon that something like that's happened, just in case anybody wants to ask me that. So that's pretty much the clarifications of the tournament. Now, they can call the shots whenever they want. It could happen at any given time, but who knows? But some people say last year when it came to Tam Nakano that, of course, that Sayaka Kurara was going to use her wish to reinstate Tam Nakano if she gets to retired. But that wasn't the case that she wanted, you know. So that's how things ended right there. But that's pretty much it right there. Just to make the clarification, that's why I make this small section so you guys can firsthand understand how this tournament works. So if you guys understand, good. Let's begin, of course, with day one of the first round tournament. I mean, the first round matches. My bad. Okay, day one of the Cinderella Tournament. This happened this past Friday, of course, on the 6th of March at the Chunichi Hall, which is in Nagoya, Aichi, in Japan, in case anybody asks. Our first round match, we have Rian versus Yuna Mizumori. Now, of course, Yuna Mizumori is the current high-speed champion. Obviously, if Rian wins, she gets an opportunity. Now, some people would have already have in their minds just by watching this that Yuna Mizumori, who has better experience than Rian, would have obviously won, but no. She was able to pick up the win by doing a beautiful pinfall where she does like a roll-up twice, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, she pulled up an upset. I didn't expect that. I'm sure many of you didn't. But of course, many of you would know Rian has pinned the high speed champion, so that means she could challenge for this belt. And I'm sure Yuna Mizumori in the post match can probably guarantees that's going to happen, because I do remember Rian was amongst the few competitors that want to challenge for that belt, and by right, she has a right to challenge it since she did defeated her after all. So we'll see what happens. Now our next match, we have of course Fukigen Death versus Aya Sakura. Now if you guys have not noticed, she comes her up with the mop. I don't know if she's trying to be a female Kenny Omega, the cleaner. I don't know. I mean, she even brought that mop at the press conference. But nonetheless, it was a match. And of course, Fukigen Death tried to play her dirty tricks as always. But unfortunately, she ended up on the wrong side of the German suplex by Sakura. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, Sakura picked up the win. Next match, we have Rana Yagami versus Waka Tsukiyama. Now, of course, there are those who are big fans of Waka. They probably hoped that she could win. And not to mention that, but it was Rana Yagami that walked away with the win when she took her out. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, she advances. Next up, we have Tabitha versus Natsupoi. Obviously, Natsupoi, she is a highly experienced wrestler than Tabitha, and that doesn't change anything after all. But Tabitha did put up a good fight, I'm not going to lie. But it was, of course, Natsupoi with a submission that allowed her to pick up the win, and just like that, one, two, no, by submission, Tabitha had no choice but to tap out. Now, our next match, well, this one became so intensified. Yurihim versus Hanako. Now, obviously, many people would guess that Yurihim went intense in this match because of Hanako for obvious reasons. You all know why. Hanako has the future belt. And not to mention, Yurihim does have, in my opinion, the 3-year experience in her that she's still working on, and that kind of sets it up right there. However, the match ended in a double countout after 5 minutes and after 59 seconds, like close to 10 minutes. Of course, obviously in the post match, I'm sure Hanako decided to settle this by putting the future belt on the line, but we'll see what happens before then. So this was our first double countout. So that means neither women won this match. So basically, whoever wins the previous will get a bye. So that sets it up right there. Next up, we have Kikyo Furuzawa versus Maki Ito. Now, in the press conference, these two did not want to fight each other, even though it's heartbreaking, but they have no other choice. And I'm sure Maki Ito does not want to fight Kiko, but the one thing I'm sure it's on her mind is to win the tournament and hopes to get a title shot. And that is something I'm sure Maki Ito is looking forward. But unfortunately, Maki Ito had no other choice but to take out Furuzawa when she applied the cloverleaf, Texas cloverleaf, onto her, and just like that, Furuzawa tapped out. Our next match, well, this is our second match that got very intensified. Um, Fuwa-chan versus Sayori Anu. Now, before the bell even rung, Fuwa-chan made a straight up beeline straight to Anu, and went intensified like you would not have imagined. And just like that, they kept on fighting and fighting. I mean, it's like Fuwa-chan is determined to defeat someone who has highly experienced than her. But unfortunately, this match ended in a draw after they both ended up on the wrong side of over the top of the ring. And just like that. But as soon as the match was over, of course, they continued the brawl like it was nothing. And I'm like thinking we probably will see a match between those two at some point, but we'll see. Now, our main event is a Stars showdown between Momokoko and Hanan. Now, obviously, when I mention Stars, as you know, these two ladies are part of the faction known as Stars. Hanan as the leader, Momokoko maybe third in line of the Stars, and of course they were not going to hold back. I'm sure that they are determined to win. But obviously, Hanan, as you know, not only she is a much popular wrestler, but she was amongst those wrestlers who is still young, and she's aiming for the top. And I know deep down many of us have, I think she may have won the Cinderella Tournament once before. Let me, just out of curiosity, let me look it up on my phone real quick, just to clarify if that's the case. Yeah, she has won the Cinderella Tournament 2 years ago. And she did aim for the white belt, and I think at the time who had the white belt was Sayori Anu at the time, or not, somewhere around there. Yes, so that sets it up right there. So it would explain. I mean, she could definitely win it and aim for the top. I know that after she successfully was the future champion, she wanted to aim for the white belt, and obviously that would have been no secret to me. But of course, like I said, Hanan has the more experience, and she's aiming for the higher purpose, which is the white belt. She was able to pick up the win when she applied a backdrop driver, if I'm not mistaken, onto Momo, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, she picked up the win and she moved on. So I have to say, it was a pretty good match. Now, we did have, of course, 2 draws in this whole thing, so obviously I didn't expect that. I thought everybody's going to get a win, but no. So let's see what happens in day 2 as we continue with more of the first round matches. Okay, day 2 of the Cinderella Tournament by Stardom. And luckily, as many of you know, this happened on Saturday, of course, on March 8th, of course, at the same venue, the Chinichi Hall in Nagoya, Aichi, of course. Didn't expect that, but yes. In the past, they used to have all the first round matches in one night, but I guess the decision was to cut it in half, maybe to give some wrestlers some rest or whatever. But anyway, we opened up with more of the first round matches. First up, we have Ane Kanaya versus Tomoka Inaba. Now, obviously, this is one of those matches where, of course, Ane Kanaya, who has the least experience, I mean, she did also made a beeline straight against Tomoka Inaba. But obviously, because we all know that she does not have the necessary experience, like, of course, like Tomoka herself. But unfortunately, she ended up on the wrong side of the Fujiwara armbar, and just like that, she tapped out. Now, speaking of Tomoka, as you probably may know already, her sister, her little sister, Azusa Inaba, was in the match too, and she faces against Lady C. Now, of course, many of you who know this about Azusa Inaba, not only she's a member of Hate, she does have some karate experience, but obviously we can tell she can try to take out someone who is tall as her, like Lady C. Don't forget, guys, Lady C is almost a similar height as Hanako, and that plays out pretty well too. But unfortunately, someone from Lady C's past decided to get involved, and that is, of course, Kamitani. She got involved and cost her. I'm sure, as you know, she's making fun of her because, as you all remember or not, they used to be part of Queen's Quest, and that's the main reason. But Azusa was able to pick up the win by pinfall. 1, 2, 3. She advances. Now, our next match, we have Kikyo Furuzawa taking on Saya Ida. Now, Saya Ida, we know, as you all know, she is like 4'11", but do not let the size fool you. She is strong and tough as nails. But she's facing someone who has a bit of the martial arts status, similar as Tomoka Inaba, but she can definitely kick your ass. And you would think that somehow Kiko and Kyoka really had what it takes to take her down, but nope. As you all know, Ida has more experience than her, and she was able to take her out when she gave her a dragon sleeper, and just like that, she tapped out. Next up, Xena versus Hina. Now, obviously, we've seen Hina, how much she's a bit of a powerhouse, how she is strong and capable. But Hina, much like her sisters, she is now rising to the occasion to get to the top, aiming to, surpass her sisters. Don't forget, both her sisters, alongside her too, are former future champions, but she never reached the same kind of level of defenses as her sisters. As you know, Hana at the time was the one who had the highest, but later was Rina. And both of them, of course, aim for the white belt, and that's something I'm sure Hina is now aiming as well. But she was able to defeat Xena, even though it was not an easy task. She defeated her by applying the ghetto clutch, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. Next up, we have Rina Yamashita taking on Miyu Amasaki. Now, obviously, we know Rina, as you all know her. She is has not only the years of experience as a wrestler, but she has an expertise in using weapons and all that. But she did not need to do that. You would have assumed because of her experience she would have picked up the win. Nope, Amasaki was able to pick up the win by going over the top. So basically that's what happened. And of course, Yamashita did a little promo, had some things to say to Amasaki, which I have no idea what she said, but it seems that things worked out pretty well. Now, this was a match I did not want to miss out whatsoever. Sayaka Kurara versus Saki Kashima. Now, if you guys remember, right after Tam Nakano left, for whatever reason, Kashima was acting all weirdly towards her, and all of a sudden she accidentally set her up with Bozilla, where she had to say yes without understanding what the hell Bozilla was saying in English, even though her English was very, very limited. And of course, Kashima has not forgotten about that. But of course, Kashima tried to play her usual sneakishness, try to pick up the win, but unfortunately, it did not work because Kurara was able to, of course, counter the Kishikase, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, Kurara advances, and then of course these two hugged it out at the very end. I think this is what Kurara wanted because, of course, we all know that Kashima made her announcement not too long ago that she's going to retire in April at the All Star Queendom, and this is probably for Kurara her last and only chance she has left. Next up, Rina versus Akira Kurigani. Now, of course, Kurigani is a bit of still of a lesser experience than you would imagine, but she has, as you all know, some people praise her for what she did and helped to dismantle EXV. But she is tough as hell. But Rina, as you know, she not only she is a very strong, capable wrestler, but she'll do whatever it takes to defeat those who she feels they should not be outshining her, and that's exactly what she did when she applied the Pink Devil, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it's over. Now, if you guys hadn't forgotten, Rina was last year's runner-up, so she lost to Kurara, but she made a vow that she's not gonna let this happen ever again. And I'm sure many people are hoping that Rina wins it, but we'll just have to wait and see. Now, our next match, we have Ami Sourei versus B Priestley. I thought this match was impressive. I mean, these two ladies went just powerhouse, straight up. Try to take try to take each other out in any way possible. But Ami Sourei applied the thunderbolt, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, she wins. So that's how things ended. I have to say, some pretty good matches, and unfortunately, there were no draws, unlike day one. But that's how things are. But we'll see how day 3 picks up. Remember, we're entering the second round matches, so stay tuned for more. But let's get to it right now. Okay, so as we continue with day 3 of the Cinderella Tournament, this is their much recent, of course, show, and they made the return back to Cork and Hall. Now, we already shrink down the entirety of the tournament into the second round matches, and that's like the second half of the entire thing or something. I'm not sure, but we do have interesting team ups here. Now, our first match, we have Akira Kurigani, Hanako, Rina Yamashita, Xena, and Azuki versus we got the ladies from Stars, consistent of Yuri Him, Momo Kogo, and B Priestley. They team up with the ladies from CML, Tabitha, and India Xioxis. And I thought the match was pretty good. I mean, it was chaotic. We know that Yuri Him has her fair issues with Hanako during the first round match and all that sort of thing. But in the end, it was B Priestley that picked up the win onto Kurigani. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. However, during the post match, Azuki had some things to say. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Anyway, Hazuki had some things to say to India. As you all know, she pinned her not too long ago, and of course, by right, she does have the right to challenge for the CML Japan Women's title, and that's exactly what's going to happen. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I can guarantee it could happen. But they're not the only ones that we're talking about title matches. So it's Hanako and Yuri Him, and I'm going to presume that they will have their future championship belt soon enough. But we'll see where that goes. Now we go on to another match. We have Kyoki and Kyoka Furuzawa, Maki Ito, and Fuwa-chan. They take on they're in a trios 3-way. We have who is it? Ana Kanaya. She teams up with the ladies from God's Eye, consistent of Lady C and Saki Kashima. They take on the Cosmic Angels, consistent of Aya Sakura, Yuna Mizumori, and Sayori Anu. However, of course, we all know that Fuwa-chan had her fair issues towards Sayori Anu just recently. But the one thing that was funny is the fact that Maki Ito kind of misfired and kind of gave the Stone Cold Stunner onto Fuwa-chan that might have cost her the match because in the end, uh, Aya Sakura was able to pick up the win by, of course, with pinning Ane Kanaya, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, Cosmic Angels picked up the win. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Anyway, now we enter the second round matches of the Cinderella tournament. We have Ranegami versus Hana. Now, obviously, some people would say Hanan could be the most likely winner. We know she has won it 2 years ago, but she could actually pick it up. She is one of those highly regarded wrestlers, not to mention one of those wrestlers below the ages of 21 that could actually go up to the top. And she was able to win this match by applying a backdrop driver, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. Now, our next match, we have Rian versus Natsupoi. Now, obviously, for many people, you would have assumed that Natsupoi would have picked up the win. And I think that would have been seemed so, but no. I have to say this was the most improved Rian we've ever seen her since joining Stardom, and not to mention since the dismantlement of EXV. And she was able to pick up the win by throwing Natsupoi over the top, and just like that. But there are recent people that believe that Rian could be another potential person to join the Cosmic Angels. A part of me would think that maybe they'll accept both Ane Kanaya and Rian. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time something like this has happened. I mean, we saw that with Kurara and Sakura 2 years ago, but it could happen. Our next match, we have Azusa Inaba versus Hina. Now, obviously, I'm sure Azusa knows Hina pretty well. Don't forget, not too long ago, a couple years ago, Azusa and her sister Tomoka Inaba were in a bit of a battle between Hina and her older sister Hanan, which became like the judo versus karate style. And that's always one of the things that plays out pretty well. But luckily, Hina was able to pick up the win by applying the Mad Splash, which is like a version of the Frog Splash. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Next up, we have Tomoka Inaba and Sayaka Kurara. And I thought this match was so intense in every way possible. I was impressed by this match, even though Kurara has generally never faced someone like Tomoka Inaba in the past. But she was able to defeat her by applying the Falcon Arrow, and just like that, 1, 2, 3. However, she did say something during the post-match comments in the back, something very interesting that caught my attention. Let me pull it up for all of you, because this is something that never happened, but it should have happened, but it did. Hold on, let me. This is what she said. You know, there is one thing in my pro wrestling career that I always regretted. It that I was never got to have a singles match with Tam Nakano. But somehow today, while fighting Kurara, there were moments I looked in her eyes, or something about her overlapping with Tam Nakano in my mind. But there was carries of Tam Nakano DNA, or whether she's Tam Nakano's disciple, I don't know. Still, I won't acknowledge Sayaka Kurara. I lost, but I won't acknowledge her. But I don't want to acknowledge her. So yeah. So basically, she regrets not having the match against Tam Nakano, but somehow she felt that she was facing her. It wouldn't be the first time some wrestler says that. I mean, Julia a couple years ago, before Waka Tsukiyama got her very first win, Juliet stated that she felt that she was fighting Tam Nakano through Waka, and that kind of sets it up right there. So it would make sense, because don't forget, Tam Nakano was, of course, senpai to Kurara, and that explains it. But she won't acknowledge her, so we'll see how that rolls. But don't forget, guys, Kurara is last year's winner. If she wins it again, That means it's 2 for 2. Now our next match, well, we have Rina versus Ami Sodi. Obviously, we all know Rina. She plays dirty when the time is needed because she is determined to win, feeling that the wrestlers who are older than her are outshining her, and she cannot let that happen. And she was able to apply the win when she applied the jackknife, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Main event, we have Miyu Amasaki versus Saya Ida. I thought this match was fantastic. I mean, I said it before countless times. Saya Ida, do not let her size fool you. And she always lived up to her reputation, not to let size to criticize her through her strength. And that's always been one of the strong things I like about her. But she's facing someone who, as you know, is rising to the occasion, and that is Miyu Amasaki. And this match went was fantastic until Amasaki applied a pinfall onto her, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. And there was a post-match promo between both Amasaki and Ida. I don't know what they said, but it seems like they embraced each other, knowing that they found new respect for each other. Despite that, Amasaki won, and Ida, who is strong as hell, acknowledges her. So that's pretty cool to see. We'll see how things will progress from here on out with the Cinderella Tournament. And I believe we have about, let's see, let me look back here, my notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 winners. So there has to be another like round matches, and then we'll have one who will receive a bye, and then one where we have 2 competitors face off, and then there's the semifinals. Because we did have one particular 2 matches that were a draw, that sort of thing. But we'll see how things will go. But as of right now, we're done. Let's move on with some news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news update. So let's begin with upcoming events, and we have 2 GCW updates for the Las Vegas shows known as the Collective. We do have the Bloodsport event that'll take place on the 17th. They announced Timothy Thatcher will be participating. And then we have the Joey Janela Spring Break that also is on the 17th of April. They announced the GCW title, Atticus Coker will defend it against the new Hayabusa, which is going to be impressive. And then finally, as you all know, WXW, the German promotion, has announced for their Femmes Fatales show, which is, I believe, a women's tournament. They'll go between the 25th and the 27th of September. Now, they did announce Mercedes Monet as the first participant to be involved. Well, participant number 2 has been announced, and that is, of course, Chihiro Hashimoto will be there, and as you probably know, she will be. I think she has already participated in the 16 karat gold tournament. I may do those too. I want to review that on a separate occasion, maybe the special episode. Not sure, but I'll decide on that later. But we'll see how things will go from there. Moving on to some developments. Speaking, of course, of Hashimoto. As you all know, her former tag partner and dearest friend, Yu, made her way to London to be part and celebrate, of course, the anniversary show of Eve with the West Wrestle Queendom. As you all know, for a time, Yu was the Eve International Champion, and of course, she has played a pinnacle role being in part of that promotion. But she did clarify to her fan base that she is retired. She's just there to celebrate. And I have to say, it's nice of her not to have forgotten one of the promotions that given her the opportunity. Now, something interesting very. Now, many people have often criticized WWE and other things, but also Swerve Strickland made it a very interesting regard about Triple H, about the kind of person he is. He said that Triple H has dodged him whenever he tries to ask him some creative questions. Now, I'm sure people can say that Triple H is a nice guy, but Swerve have often said that he often felt like he never got answers that he needed in order to succeed in WWE, but he's telling us that Triple H has dodged him all the time. I don't know if that's true or not, but if anybody can clarify that, that would be great. But that's kind of interesting. We know that there's certain people that never listen to the wrestlers of their creative plans, what they want to do, or things that they brought up, that sort of thing. But yeah. Now, Devon Dudley, many of you may remember him from Team 3D or the Dudley Boys. They felt he made some interesting comments towards Jade Cargill. He's not going to deny about her ability, but he felt that she should have gone to NXT first rather than be in the main roster. This is what he said. Let me pull that up because he feels that was a mistake that should not have happened. So this is, he said, of course, she's never been in NXT. That was a mistake. Maybe she should have gone to NXT first. If she had gone the training before going to the main roster, we probably wouldn't even having this conversation. So yeah, and he says they asked him if he understands why they pushed Cargill quickly. Her look, her presence, her physique make her stand out instantly, but his view that should not replace the development process, and this is what he responded about that. And I understand that she has the look and the physique, but bringing her straight from AEW to the main roster was not the right move. If you look at her at her time in AEW, there was a good chance, really, at the time in NXT, it would not have hurt her to spend some time there and properly training, and then move up to the main roster. So yeah, I mean, I get it. We have seen wrestlers that were moved up to the main roster. We saw that with AJ Styles. We saw that with Penta. We saw that with who else? I'm trying to think of any. Oh yeah, Ray Phoenix, of course, is one of them. I'm trying to think of anybody who just didn't go to the process of NXT. But yes, that sort of thing, and that explains a few things about, yeah, she should have gone there, but whatever reason, that was their call. Many of you know this. Athena is signed with AEW, but many of you may question why we haven't seen her in AEW that much. Why she's in Ring of Honor? Well, according um, to Voices of Wrestling, they're saying that there was some backstage heat with her on her during backstage, and this is what they mentioned. She had a certain level of heat at different times, which partially explains why she hasn't been seen AEW properly. I mean, yes, I get it. You just don't want her to have any problems with AEW. I mean, they're trying to keep this a nice, safe environment, positive environment, and they can't have that. And I get that's the thing. Uh, Finally, of course, for some developments, Thea Hail made a statement regarding online hate. I don't know if I should read this, but let's see. I've been wanting to touch on this subject for a long time now. I just haven't felt I should. Now my opinion has changed. I'm 22 years old, girl. Think about that for a second. I would have, I wouldn't even have a graduated in college if I'd been. I moved in the middle of high school to pursue my dream because I value over comfortably and most people could ever have fandom do that. And every day to look at Twitter timeline or look at social media and see negative comments about me as a human being is disgusting. I worked my ass off for 5 years for the biggest moment of my career, and you all take it as a joke. You act like I'm a worst human being in the world for my 1 ounce of a success that I finally had. It sucks that I don't think you understand. Every day I wake up happy, sad, miserable. I don't care, but I put professional wrestling above everything. And for 5 years I have valued this industry such an extent, and I valued others' opinions, and it's exhausting. I love this more than anything, but what I don't love is to constantly be torn down by people by other human beings. At the end of the day, I am a person, and um, I am a person. I am 22-year-old girl who is getting to live up my dreams, and for some reason, that's wrong. I am I have and for some reason you guys decide that I want to go hate on somebody else and not be happy for yourself. I feel I you feel need to tear somebody down to build yourself up. I don't understand it. I don't understand the level of hate in professional wrestling today. For what for once just second I would love to you guys to initially think um, you would like for someone to say about me. Think about that. So please take an extra 10 minutes before you put something on social media. Well, I'm gonna say this, guys. If you're gonna hate somebody, don't waste your goddamn energy, okay? Please. They're not worth it. You know why? Because I learned something in life. For me, I learned this from Cat Williams in one of his comedy shows that he did, and he said something that is a value point. You got to please your star player. If you guys don't know what I'm referring to, I'm talking about the person you look in the mirror. And he also said, screw the people around you, because sooner or later, they're going to look at you. There's something about you that they don't like. The way you talk, the way you dress, the way you walk, whatever. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because if they fell down on the ground, guess what's going to happen? Us, people who are trying to ignore and just worry about ourselves, and you see someone on the ground like that person who criticizes you, all hurt, what do you think is going to happen? So basically, that's what's going to happen. So you have a right to have your chuckles in, to laugh at him, knowing that their lives is miserable, but not you. You see, I know for a fact people look at me funny. I don't care what they think or say. You know why? Because I'm not worried about them. Now, for me, when people criticize, try to do things like this to Thea Hail, let me tell you, worry about your goddamn selves. All right? Live up your life. Forget what others are doing. If you feel that you can't succeed and you want to bring someone down with you to hell, well, too bad. You're still going to go to hell anyway. So, that's what I think. Okay, guys? Worry about your goddamn selves. Don't worry about what others people say. And I have to say, Thea Hail, I have to say she put up with it so much. And I have to say, look, I may not met her in person, but if I had to say this, Thea Hail, I'll say this to you. Screw what those people are saying about you. You know why? Because they have nothing to live for. You do. You're living your dreams. And that's okay. Everybody has dreams to live in. Screw them. Sooner or later, they're going to fall down. If you see that those same haters one day, Thea, you have a right to laugh at them, because it's your obligation to do so. And that's how I feel. If I see someone who looks at me funny and they don't like me and they think of me that I'm just a piece of garbage, guess what's going to happen? If I see that same person tripped and they're on the ground, I have a right to laugh at them, saying that you're the one who got karma in the back. And that's what I would think. So I'm just laying this out for you guys, and for you guys to understand. If you have people like that looking at you, they have a problem, and they hate you, don't worry about it. Sooner or later, you'll have the last laugh. And I hope Thea Hail does have that last laugh. So, I said what I need to say. Let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up. Well, I've been thinking about this, and I also effed up again with the New Japan stuff, but I'll put that on the next episode, of course. We'll put that, and also the NXT Vengeance Day, and I'm still trying to decide what I'm going to do. There's a part of me that would love to do the CML Noches de la Amazonias, which is an all-female show by CML. So we'll see how things will go from there. But as of right now, that's the general plan. So until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.